All right, it's a fresh new week towards the last 8 days of the first month of January, and that means today we are 22 days after the first month, and today is a Monday. Really, I want to welcome you on board for the Kokoliriko live show, the first one for this week, and it's a great pleasure for you to really join and be part of the show. And this is the show that is going to keep you informed, and that is why we come with the morning updates, and so that for you can also get to know of what is happening and trending on the various media platforms. So I think it is very, very much important for you to always be part of the show, because this is surely the show that is going to have an impact on you, because really what we discuss here must resonate with the with what you know, and that means in terms of cultures, maybe in terms of geographical locations. Definitely it is going to have an impact on you, and it's definitely a great pleasure for you to really be part of the show. We are really some few minutes after 7 o'clock, and in case you are still in bed, it's time for you to really wake up and go hustle for your daily activities, because the days are really running so fast. I don't know if January is still January like how it used to be with the 60 days, but really I must assure you that the days are running so fast. And if you really want to know how, then you must be somebody who is paying fees. Definitely you will know that really the days are running so fast and with no money. So I think it also piles pressure on those, and for those who are okay, and this is for those who must have saved during the festive season, or maybe who are lucky enough to have money at this time, then there's not much pressure on them. But really last week, as we come from the weekend, we also give you what may be transpired over the due course of the weekend. And definitely a lot happened over the weekend, and that is what we are also going to be breaking for you on the show here. And definitely you need to be part of the show, and really from wherever you're watching us from, be it in West Nile, be it in Acholi, be it in Lango, who did beat us yesterday. But I must assure you that we are one, even if these are games, and I must say maybe this game is good for the people of Lango to win, because it is also an achievement for them to really keep on mourning, because usually we say happiness works together with excitement, and that is really maybe where it is coming, because they have really lost one of their brilliant that is citizens, and that is from that region. And really I must say we are still condoling with them, and we pray for her soul to be rested in eternal peace, because I do understand that yesterday her body landed in Uganda, and preparations already underway to really also bury her. So I think we mourn with them, and that win maybe is a sweet one for them. But for people of West Nile, you do understand that today they are set to really have a meeting, and the details of that really will come later on. That is in the whistle time. So I think these games are really quite good for us. So I think it also unites us, because really we didn't see something very, very much bad happening there, because really also the win to me is good for them, because during this time of mourning, usually we say happiness works with excitement, and really that we are also going to be also giving you a hint on this thing here. So I think we touch everywhere, we touch all aspects, and that is the beauty of the Kokoliriko live show, where we leave no one behind. We are to move all together. So I think it is very, very much important for you to always be part of the #1 show when it comes to morning. So I think it is a Monday, it's a fresh new week, and towards the last days, that is the first month of January, as I did tell you earlier on. And that should be an indication to you that the days are not moving slowly, they are running so fast, and the speed really in which they are running is also very, very terrible. So it is also for you to draw your plans, because really if you have not drawn your plans for this year, and then it is high time that you draw them, because once really we clock the 8th or the 9th month, you should start making evaluations of how far you have really prospered when it comes to your plans. And really, without wasting any time, allow us head straight into the discussions for today, and that is the Kokoliriko morning updates really on one of the trending stories. This was on Saturday. We did have the arrested Arua district officials, that is those who they were remanded to Arua government prison, and these two include Andiandu Joakim, the Arua district senior environment officer, together with Owen Onzima, the area facilitator for Ajia, who were last week on Monday arrested on allegations of stealing 20 million Ugandan shillings, and they were remanded to Arua government prison till Wednesday, 24th of January, which is this week, and therefore they will be able to also reappear again in court today and to explain these charges, and if they are really true, because for them they have denied, they have said no, they have not stolen the monies, they are innocent. And remember, court has to prove you guilty. That is when they will say indeed you stole, because once once court has not approved that you did steal, then you still remain a suspect under investigation. So I think investigation to this matter is still continuing, and we do not know if they will be able to really be granted bail, because the plea for their lawyer to have this granted bail failed, and this is after the lawyer representing the state did actually ask for the court to adjourn this case here. So I think the two were arrested for allegedly attempting to defraud the community members of Ombomba's Village Savings Group of the money meant for the implementation of development response to development project in Ajia sub-county. And really, if you know about this, Dr. Deep, they are very much surrounded by issues of corruption here and there. And some few days ago, I was in Terego, where we did see a riot staged by one of the community members because they did not actually receive this money here. And this was towards Christmas last year, and these people really wanted their money. And one of the leaders was actually against this and said some statement that really you want to go and misuse this money for Christmas, and something that really did not go with the people very well, I must assure you, because they are very much angry and they were demanding for their money. I don't know why Dr. Deep projects are very much infiltrated by this. I do understand it also really stretches back because these projects have been there ever since some of these geographical locations were broken. Because if you have to look at Terego, where we did see riots, demonstrations by the people demanding for their money, this project was actually implemented while the Terego was still under rural district. So I think that is something also we must also really talk about. Because if you have to look at the Dr. D projects, really, they are very much infiltrated by corruption. They are very much infiltrated by delayments in payments. I don't know why, but we are seeing now somebody trying to extort the money. So I think it's alleged that the two attempted to withdraw the money in pretext of taking it to be shared among the leaders, because maybe that was the corruption of the highest order, something did not go really well. They also plea that they need to have investigation into this matter. But the leaders, I must also tell you that we did speak to, have denied. They have said they have not stolen, they are not part of that corruption. They did not actually know where this guy was taking the money. So that is something I also feel I need to let you know of, because once really we do not address these issues of corruption, then corruption will actually put us down. And really, if you look at these people, really, the environment officer together with that is Owen Onzima, who is an area facilitator for GIA, they were remanded to government prison on charges of corruption, and they have to really answer the charges, and really court is still investigating, and will really also keep you updated on this matter, or to come Wednesday when something will happen there, and definitely we shall be able to let you know of maybe what transpires there. However, and if you look at what the lawyers, that is the Simon Angumale, the resident state attorney, who was represented by Thomas Ginyera, the senior state prosecutor, asked court to adjourn the matter for some few days, so as to allow them establish where exactly to handle the case, whether under that is the anti-corruption court or magistrate court. So I think they were able to really ask for this time to be so that they can ensure adjournment of this case, because these people did not plead guilty. And remember, for you are presumed to be innocent. Court's process is that you're presumed innocent while investigations are going until proven guilty, and you have to be proven guilty beyond reasonable doubt. So I think that is what lawyers say. But however, Michael Ezadro Nyafia of Nyafia and Company Advocates, the lawyer that represented the two accused persons, opposed the state attorney's request of adjournment, as he asked for bail to be granted to his client. So I think this is something also that did not really happen, and can it happen this week? Then that is why you should be able to follow the Kokoliriko live show, because we're here to let you know of what is happening and what transpires. But really, I must also tell you, after carefully listening to the two sides represented by their lawyers, His Worship, that is Paul Matiama, the Chief Magistrate of Arua, guided by adjourning the matter till Wednesday, which is this week, and the two will have to reappear again in court. And really, we are still following up on this matter. Shall they be granted free? Shall they be given bail? That is something really we still don't know. That is still also something you must also really be waiting us for, because we are here to give you that information. And the two were accused of fraudulently stealing 20 million Ugandan shillings meant for facilitating, that is the Dr. D project in the district on the 27th of December 2023. And that means that they committed these crimes actually last year. And this incident happened in the district's premises, that is in Central Division in Arua City, and they were picked earlier last week on Monday 15th of January 2024, as the matter is already in court awaiting, that is, final judgment, and we are still following up on this matter till the last day. And really, corruption remains one factor that is pulling down so many of these government interventions, because really some of them are good. If you look at this Dr. D project, it is actually there to ensure efforts towards the restoration of, that is, the forest cover that is really getting threatened to be depleted. And now somebody is really taking monies that is meant for really to facilitate this beautiful project. Really, if you look at restoration of forest cover, we are facing challenges of deforestation. We are complaining of climate change, and these have actually been attributed to the rampant cutting down of trees. And now government, through OPM and other stakeholders, are putting efforts to really ensure that they plant these trees, and people are just misusing the monies like that. Then definitely it leaves the state with no support, because really, if leaders, whom I presume are supposed to be the ones to support government and such causes, they are the ones really also misusing the money, then it becomes quite absurd. And that is something also really we must condemn in the strongest terms. Corruption is one factor that we all know that has been dragging down development when it comes to this country. But how do we really put corruption aside? That is something that really we need to investigate, because once we do not talk about corruption, then definitely corruption will continue biting. And once it continues biting, then definitely it also affects the service delivery and the kind of services that is supposed to be put out, because really this affects, also hampers the efforts of government, maybe sometimes also to see to it that such beautiful projects do not come up. And that is why we are saying corruption really needs to be condemned in the highest terms. And really, I must tell you, the people who reported this issue have done their part. And this is also going to be as an eye-opener for the rest of the community members to also ensure that their monies are not swindled, because most of the times you get people going to these offices, sign the papers here and there, and the vulnerable community member who is poor down there does not actually really get to benefit from the money that he or she is supposed to get, because they are the ones that really take up these projects. They are the ones that embark on digging the land. They're the ones that really embark on plowing the land, also ensuring that the trees that are planted are kept safe, because they have to also provide security for the trees that are really being planted. And then somebody comes and really just takes up their money and signs it for them and into their pockets and share it among themselves, which really is a curse, because really some of the money that you are chewing is somebody's sweat, really, and eating somebody's sweat is definitely a curse. That is something we all know in our tradition, that we shouldn't really carry it on. We should condemn that in the highest order, because really eating somebody's sweat, and this is somebody's hard work, who has plans. Some of these people have actually put aside everything because of the good images that you actually painted for them, which is not the reality. Because once you're coming up with this project, you tell them the beautiful things, and really once also when it comes to paying their monies, they have to cry for their monies. I do not know why that is the case, really, because if you look at these projects, that once these people are coming to convince you through the meetings, they actually lay down a beautiful agenda, and of which if you really believe in, you will have hope. You will really see to it that if really this is to happen, then we are all going to benefit from this as community members, as people of the country at large, as people of the region at large. But really now, once they do not actually receive their money, then it becomes quite difficult for next projects that may be able to come, because that is sometimes why people really pull out from these government projects that come in place, because they see no beauty towards it. They see no use. They rather prefer to be idle or jobless or do their own things perhaps. And that is why sometimes we need to really condemn issues of corruption here and there, because once this is not really addressed, then definitely it puts the country behind, because really corruption has been identified as a major factor that has been hampering development when it comes to this country here. And really, I don't know what you think about corruption. You can really also share why these government projects such as Dr. Deep are failing in the hands of corruption, and why really corruption is still dragging down development. And really, I must tell you, some of these desk officers have now been transferred. That is why they are facing challenges. People actually come now and start demanding for their monies in the hands of wrong officers. Really, if you look at what happened in Terego, I must say it was quite sad, because the people were demanding the cow to come and explain. For them, I don't know who really mobilized these people to come and really do that demonstration, but really these people were demanding for cow, and really the desk officer was not actually there. And that is something that really we must condemn in the strongest terms, and we must really move away from corruption if we are to see change. And remember, the president's #1 mandate right now is socio-economic transformation, and really if we are to take part in the socio-economic transformation through issues of corruption, then corruption will definitely affect and destroy that beautiful plan of wanting to see that everybody enters into the manual economy. And that may be just a dream. It may remain on paper, and that is something that has really been affecting, that is the development, maybe in terms of new projects that emerge in the country. Sometimes they come up with the beautiful plans on paper, but when it comes to implementation, that is where it becomes very much lacking, and of which really, if the paperwork would not be there, then the implementation was good, maybe we would see also our country transforming. But really, in most cases, what we see is people come up with the beautiful plans, people come up with the nice ideas, but when it comes to implementation, that is where it lacks. And that is something I must tell you is also very much infiltrated with these projects, such as the Dr. D project, which is really running down. We do not know if it will be extended, but one assurance I can tell you, this project is running down in most of the places, and that is under the NDP3. It is actually NDP3. NDP3 is now coming to an end, and we are going to be entering NDP4. We do not know what may be able to come up there, but we are still following up to see to it that really these people get the monies that they deserve to get before really not getting really missing out on their monies. We want to see when they will be able to get their monies, and really, and these people who were arrested to be brought to book, because really it will also be as an eye-opener for the rest who would want to be engaged in the same practice, because really that is something that is definitely affecting the developments of this country, and corruption is something that really we must also deviate from. And as we are talking about corruption, also UBOS is already embarking on raising awareness on census mapping, and somebody who may not be able to understand census mapping, this is something that is done. This is a pre-process towards the actual counting. Remember, Uganda is supposed to conduct its 10 years census this year, because really we did conduct this in the last 10 years, which was in 2014, and now we are in 2024. That means that we are 10 years, so government has to conduct census, and the national population census is to actually identify the real numbers of the citizens so that they can be able to also plan for the country in the next 10 years, and that is why government always has to ensure that they conduct the national population census. And now, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, which is commonly known as UBOS, the body that is mandated to ensure that this exercise runs smoothly, is already conducting, that is a census, raising awareness towards census mapping, because this is the first phase towards the exercise. And this is where people are going to come to your areas and identify the best methods, maybe to use the best techniques, and how to really conduct the exercise, how many family members we need, how many enumerators, these are the people who will be able to be engaged in that exercise are going to be needed. And that is why it is very, very much important for those who may also want to be part of the enumerators to get set, because really government will also really ensure these people are recruited. And recently, this was on Saturday also, the leaders of that is Arua City, together with officials from UBOS and the media personalities from this region, did have a sitting, and this is actually to ensure that the exercise, that is from pre-mapping exercise, that is really to ensure that this exercise is conducted. This is the first phase where these people will identify information that will help them really in ensuring that the exercise becomes a success, because really most of the leaders actually did raise complaints here and there in relation to the last previous census, where they did say the country, where the city also did face challenges, that is in terms of resource allocation, maybe in the hands of the previous exercise, because some people did not really ensure they were counted, and they were very much infiltrated also by some people who were able to fight the process, and actually they did not get themselves counted. And this is where the leaders have actually issued a warning now, that the RCC, that is Charles Ichogora, has issued a stern warning for those people who will be able to want to sabotage the whole project. And this is mostly the witch doctors, these native doctors who do not want to get to hear something about counting, because really they say counting is against their things. We also have religious leaders, maybe cultural leaders or some religious leaders who are against such incidences. So I think he did issue a strong warning to these people, cautioning them against really fighting these projects, and saying they will be able to burn their shrines, and as for those people who also want to fight the process, they will be arrested. So it is government's projects. It is something that we really need to ensure that we do not fight. Rather, we need to support, we need to embrace it in the highest terms. So I think UBOS now is conducting this thing. We did have a meeting, that is with Nancy Agnes Anyango, the public relations officer, together with other officials who really did come to the city and also tell us of what is happening. So I think this is a good thing that we need to really ensure come May, because we are going to be able to have this thing in May, and that is something also we really need to ensure that we support, because Uganda last held the population census, that is in 2014, where Uganda's population stood at, that is 6.24 million people, which is expected also to rise in this upcoming population census, because really we are seeing a number of refugees, we are seeing a number of newborns, we are seeing a number of population increasing, the land is becoming very small, people are entering now to also destroy forests, people are destroying wetlands, and that is an indication that the population is definitely on rise. So I think that is something also really we need to keep on following, because once we do not get ourselves counted, then definitely that will also be able to really affect the resource allocation, because what you will be able to really go to, if you move to these health facilities, what you will be able to access there may not be yours, because really you are accessing somebody's rights, because the person who was counted may be that one who will be able not to access the services. So I think as government is going to carry out this exercise, my humble appeal to everybody is that we need to also embrace the exercise. We need not to fight it, because it is there for our good. And if you have to really look at these things, the days are not very far. The days are now drawing closer. You may look at May as very far, but really I must tell you, it is not very, very far. It is just just very few days and very few months. If you not be able to also see to it that it will come to you very soon. So I think some of the leaders here made recommendations here and there, and if you look at really what our mayor, that is his worship, that is what Sam Nyako said. This leader actually said these people who are going to ensure that they recruit the enumerators need to recruit the capable people, so that we do not really get cases of people entering the data by themselves, really, like in the previous instance where we did see people sitting down under a tree because they cannot move because the area is too huge. They get tired because really, if you look at some of the areas, really, if you look at one of the villages that is in Ivu, it is an equivalent of I don't know how many cells. So it is an area that is quite huge. The geographical boundaries are very huge. So with that, these people have raised issues because this is not the first time they have been really conducting this exercise, and that is why the leaders have said they need to ensure the rightful people are recruited, so the rightful people are given the offices, the rightful people are given the mandate to ensure that they actually get part and get involved when it comes to the national population census that is supposed to be upcoming, so which is really not very, very far. And this is where they're going to account for the night population. This is something also you need to know where you will be able to spend that night is where you are going to be counted. So I think if you have 2 homes, you need not to worry that you are going to be double counted. Definitely you are going to be counted. That is one. So I think it is very, very much important not to worry about this exercise. It is to our benefit. It is for everybody's benefit, so that government will be able to know how many citizens it has and to be able to amicably plan for the citizens. And that is in terms of social services that we need. For instance, for those who need school, for those who need health. If you move to health facilities, the drugs that you are going to access free of charge, which you think are free of charge, have been budgeted for you from the monies that you actually pay in terms of taxes. Definitely, if you need the monies back, if you need the services back, so that without really infringing on other people's rights, then you need to ensure that you are counted. Because if you do not really ensure that happens, then definitely you are going to also be able to enter somebody's budget, and that will also not be good. So I think it is not quite good, and that is why we need to really ensure that when the exercise comes, that is not very, very far from now. We are counting very, very few days, and that is why we need to really embrace the exercise, because if you look at the exercise, it is quite good. It is for our benefit. So I think I must appeal to everybody to ensure that we really get involved in this exercise. And to the leaders, really also let's ensure that we tell the people that this exercise is not very bad, like how some people have painted it. And remember, some of these government projects, like I did tell you, recently Ministry of Health did carry on its survey, and the leaders have actually raised the same issues, that the land was actually very huge. So I think these people need to identify the right numbers of people who are going to be able to get engaged in this exercise, and the rightful personnel to ensure that these ones who are going to be recruited are the ones that really who qualify. And this is in terms of the technology, this is in terms of the skills, this is in terms of the necessary requirements that may be able to be needed, because this exercise is going to be online. That is something I must assure you. It's going to be online. It is not going to be like paperwork, like how it used to be over the years. And this body, UBOS, has actually said they are going to carry out this exercise online. So I think they are going to actually purchase a new equipment that is a total of about 10,800, and this is to ensure that this exercise runs smoothly. So I think once this exercise comes, these people are going to come to your homes and come in your homes, in your families, with the phones and data to ask who exactly spent the night in your home and how many members you have in your families. And according to the body, the exercise is actually going to be that is online, and it's also going to be for all the languages. All the languages are going to be catered, and this is in terms of the questionnaires that will be able to really be circulated online. And for these enumerators who will be able to move into people's homes, then they will definitely be able to share with everybody and ensure that not everybody is not left behind. And this is where you need to also give them the right information. This is the family members, really. We do not have to ensure that we lie, because once we lie, then definitely it is going to affect the services that we will be able to get in the next 10 years. And now the leaders have made recommendations, and the city leadership has actually called upon the body when they are going to actually carry out the exercise to cater for the refugees. Because if you look at West Nile, really, we are at the borders of 2 countries, and really, when we have so many refugees coming from the 2 countries. If you look at refugees in Arua City, recently the bodies did carry out a survey to ascertain how many numbers of people are within the city. Really, if you look at what Wenda did, and you really be able to see that we have so many many refugees really in the country. So I think we are seeing so many refugees coming back, both from that is DRC and South Sudan. All of them are here, and now if you have to look at all this, they actually need the services. They actually consume our services. We have Congolese coming all the way from DRC to Uganda, and all these need services. And all this come not because they want, sometimes they are forced. So I think we can also chase them, as we are talking about East African Community, which is a body that is supposed to bring us all together, and that means that we are also there to share resources. We are also there to share the little we have. So I think we cannot send them out, and we cannot tell them to go back to their country and really get medicine from there. So I think the leaders' call towards the efforts to identify the numbers of refugees in this country and also to budget for them is something that really we need to ensure that we talk about. So I think the leaders had that call, which is quite good, because really some of the refugees move to the health facilities. You can see transfers. When you see these refugees in the hospitals, recently I was at the mental ill facility, and I was able to see so many young boys from South Sudan in this facility here. And once I asked where they are from, they told me they are actually from South Sudan. These are the refugees who came in the camps, and they have been transferred from there. And that means that we are still seeing so many referrals, and that means definitely the city leadership has to budget for the refugees. And remember, being a refugee is something that is out of will. It is as a result of disaster that may come anytime, and really, so we need to ensure that we also do not become part of refugees, really. Because if you look at the stories, while we are growing up, most of the elders used to tell us about how difficult life was in exile, and really you will tell how they lost their loved ones, how they lost their beloved ones. Then that definitely paints us an image of how bad disaster can be. And really, dear viewer, with that, we are running for a short commercial break, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the show from there. This is still a Kokoliriko live show with me, Farish Majid. It's a great pleasure having you on board. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. This is still the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV with me, Farish Majid. And in case you are just joining us right now, it's a great pleasure having you on board. And you can also let us know where you are exactly watching us from and what you think about what we are discussing here and there. And really, we have had so many discussions here. And then in case you're just joining us right now, we did have a talk about corruption. And that is the arrest of the Arua district officials. And that is the senior environment officer together with his colleague who were arrested last week. And they were actually remanded to the Arua government prison on Saturday till Wednesday, which is this week. So we are still following up on that matter and to see if indeed this was stole the money and will they be granted bail this week. So that is something also we are following up, and that is definitely one thing that we shall also be letting you know of what is happening. So I think it is very, very much important for you to always be part of the show. This is the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV. Definitely what we discuss here must resonate with West Nile, definitely, because if you really do not know what is happening back at home, then definitely we are not doing it. We are doing a disservice to ourselves, and that is why it is very, very much important for us to always let you know of what is happening way back home before we head to the national scene. Because really, if you look at what is happening in the national scene, so many things have really been happening, and that is the NAM, which ended, and now we are into the G77 plus China summit. All these are still continuing, and this will run till that is the 23rd. So I think we are still following up on this issue, and we shall be able to really let you know of what the leaders have said and maybe what they have done in this summit here, because if we do not let you know, then definitely that is something that we are really doing a disservice to you. So I think in case you're just joining us right now, it's a great pleasure having you on board, and you're most welcome to the most beautiful show, that is the Kokoliriko live show, that is definitely going to have an impact on you as an individual, because this is surely going to keep you updated, and it's going to also let you know what is happening. And really moving away from the two discussions that we did have, and now let us move to that is Alur sub-region, where Aworo Mundu clan chief was installed. So amid these jubilations from clan members and politicians across all boards, the calm and smiling new chief of Aworo Mundu chiefdom, that is in Zeu sub-county, Zomo district, Francis O. Dennis, is the third, has promised to be obedient while serving as chief of that is the chiefdom under Alur kingdom. So I think we are seeing all these developments, and the people of that side must really know what it means for them to have that chief. So I think during his remarks shortly after his consecration and installation as the second chief of Aworo Mundu chiefdom, that is the new chief said he will work together with Alur kingdom and serve the people diligently without really ensuring that he gets involved in that in tribal differences during his leadership. So according to that we'll be able to really see that he will be able to work with the people, and that is what most leaders have said. We are really still following up. We want to see if at all he is going to really work with everybody, but in most cases these are things that really do not really drag down service delivery, but really I want to call upon people who are there to support the leader, really, because once these leaders are not supported, then definitely it's going to drag down their efforts in terms of bringing development. Remember, these traditional leaders, these cultural leaders play a great role really sometimes, because the masses very much listen to them more than the political leaders, because they believe in them, they know who they are, they know where they stay, they know what they like, they know what they do, because sometimes really people act that is in line to what these people are doing. So I think it is very, very much important there. So I think there's need to bring the people together. That is what he actually called for, and that is something we are really also following up on, because unity is something that is definitely we must treasure. Once really we do not treasure and ensure that there's unity, then definitely that is really going to be quite dangerous. So I think that is something that we are still following up on keenly, and we shall be able to really let you know of what is happening. And yesterday, remember, we did have a game that is still Fufa Drum. I must tell you, West Nile lost, but really we are one. West Nile is part of Northern Uganda, and Lango is part of Northern Uganda. We are still the same people. Though we lost, we also won, and that is something I must tell you. If West Nile lost, Northern Uganda still won, so we are still the same. So I think that is something that I must also let you know. We lost 2 goals as West Nile, and the win actually went to, that is Lango sub-region, and this is still under Northern Uganda. We do have people who are watching us all day from that side, and we also want to thank you so much for that win. And for those of you maybe who are from West Nile who are not happy about the lose, we still have the second leg that we will be able to really come very soon, that is to Arua City, and we shall be able to also really, maybe if we reorganize, I do understand the team is actually supposed to have a meeting today, and that is with the various stakeholders, and draw plans to see to that they overcome that win that Lango did take yesterday. But the one win to me is quite good, because really Lango is mourning, and usually we say excitement moves with, that is sadness, and we are seeing the sadness when it comes to that death, and then we are seeing the happiness with the win. So I think it is a win-win situation for them. So I think it is quite good. And yesterday we did have a moment of silence observed, that is in memory of Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, before the start of the semi-final match, that is the first leg between Lango Province and that is West Nile Province at Akiwa Stadium, that is in Lira City. So I think this was something that is really quite good, because she has really put a stamp as one of the greatest leaders from this region, and that is something that you cannot exclude from her. If you talk about Cecilia Ogwal, then definitely you will know she is a good leader, and one leader that made us proud as the entire people of Northern Uganda, because she raised our flags very high, and she actually made us very proud. And really, we as people of this region, we knew who Cecilia Ogwal is. Even if you didn't know how she looks like, at least the name Cecilia Ogwal, you could have heard it maybe over various platforms, or from people actually, because she has been, as a veteran politician, serving, that is parliament, that since 1994 till her death. That is in 2022. That is something that we must also commend her for, because being in that parliament for all these years is not an easy thing. And must tell you, if you really want to see this, look at your constituencies, how many members of parliament have served for 2 terms, then definitely you would know that she was indeed a great leader. Because for people to keep on sending you back, then definitely you must have done something quite good, and you must have had your impacts on them. So I think that is something we are not really leaving behind. And her body was released, was actually received, that is at Entebbe Airport, by our leaders here, and that was something which was really quite good. We did see the aeroplane landing with that body being taken to, that is the funeral home, and then we are expecting it to be transported, that is to Dokolo, for the final burial very soon. So I think we shall be able to also let you know of what is really happening, and that is to the body of Cecilia Ogwal. Because remember, so many leaders have eulogized her, so many things have really been said about her here and there. Most people have actually said good things about her, and that is the beauty of it. If you do good things, really, once you die, people will be able to actually say these good things about you. But sometimes also people say they do not speak the bad things. I've only seen one person who has said the bad things about the deceased, and this was actually a brother to the late. So I think I've only seen that really once happening in my entire life, where somebody can actually eulogize by saying the bad things. But really, I must say, sometimes also these good things are said because of the achievements that you have had, and the impacts that you have had on the society, and the impacts that we are still doing on the people. And that is why people will be able to really mourn with you. And that is one thing that we are seeing, the numbers. If you really see the numbers that are coming to mourn her, then definitely you will know she was really a good person. So I think we also need to, we are still condoling the people of West Nile, and we are still saying that we are one as people of Northern Uganda. So I think that is something also that I feel I need to talk about very briefly, and that is something we cannot really leave out, because if you look at last week, really, we did have so many things. We did have the NAM that is still going on, that really get climaxed over last week. This is on the 20th, so I think it got done really, where we did see so many things appear, being said here and there. We did have also, that is the UN Secretary General coming for this. So I think that is something also really we cannot really exclude, we cannot really leave talking about. And really we also did have so many things happening. Remember, so many international conferences have been in this country. We are still talking about the G77 Plus Summit. We did also summit, we are still talking about, NAM did end, and really the G77 Summit is still running. That is till tomorrow. So I think tomorrow is the final day. Come tomorrow, we shall also let you know of maybe what transpired today, and that is why we are definitely always here for you to also be part of in the know. So I think you need not to be left behind, because definitely this is the only show that is definitely going to have an impact on you, and it is going to really change you. So I think you need to really be part of that is the Kokoliriko show that is on West Nile TV. So I think that is something we cannot really also leave out. And really, if you really look at how Uganda, something that also did make us proud is Uganda assuming group of 77, and that is China chairmanship. That is definitely something that we cannot also talk about, because that is an achievement. Uganda has assumed chairmanship of the group of 77 plus China summit from Cuba, which held the mantle for the past 1 year. So G77 plus China summit as a group of 77 development countries that came together and signed a joint declaration of the first session of that is the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development in Geneva. That is 1964. That is the brief history about this, and with the aim of promoting economic cooperation among its member states and collectively address issues that is related to related to development, trade, and international financial institutions. Those who have since grown to, the numbers have since grown to 134 members, who have really received both political and financial support. That is from China, who does not consider herself as a group member, and that is something also really you cannot exclude. During the official start of the third South Summit, that is in Kampala on Sunday, Uganda's President Museveni rallied global countries to embrace unity in order to solve the ongoing global crisis. Remember, the world is really being faced a lot of challenges here and there, and this does not exclude East Africa. We are facing challenges between our borders, where we are seeing our countries really conflicting among one another. So where we are seeing so many borders being closed, where we are seeing people being pointed here and there for being the causes for the instabilities in their country. So I think that's something also really that is needed to be addressed in these meetings that are still ongoing. So I think really if these are addressed, then definitely we shall be able to avoid these issues of having wrangles between our borders. Then definitely that is going to really bring development. So I think that is something that we also cannot leave out. The international financial institutions, it said, should provide financial assistance that is to developing countries without putting stringent conditions if the latter are to also start development. So I think really he did call this, and this comes way back also to sometimes we receive these loans, but then the loans come with stringent conditions. Really, if you look at the anti-homosexuality bill, it has really not been received very well by some of the powers that have been supporting us. So I think that is where the stringent powers he was talking about comes in. So I think it is also very, very much important really for countries who are working together to ensure that these are put aside. So I think if that does not really being put aside, then it is going to really affect it's going to affect development. So I think, according to the UN chief, many G77 members are grappling with an aim of economic hangover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Crippling debts as the cost of living has also skyrocketed. So I think really we are talking about life in the post-COVID era, which has come with its which has also come with its problems here and there in terms of really ensuring that people get the rightful money. People are poor, the economies are failing, post businesses have failed. Really, the people are still very poor. So I think that is something also we cannot talk about. Really, if that is then that's something that we cannot also talk about, then definitely it will be able to be a curse for us. So I think we cannot exclude talking about that. And then the UN Secretary General calls for reform, that is of the global financial system. The UN Secretary General, that is Antonio Guterres, delivered a stark message to the ongoing G77 plus China summit in Kampala, urging immediate reform of the global system and warning that its current state is failing developing countries. He pointed to the Bretton Woods institution created after World War II as outdated and inadequate to address the needs of today's world. So I think really the leader of UN, that is Antonio Guterres, who actually came in to attend the G77 plus China summit, made these remarks, and he proposed as SDG stimulus of really shillings US $500 billion annually in affordable long-term finance for sustainable development and climate action in developing countries. Really, if you look at these two, really development and climate change, these have really been so many things. These have really been dragging the country very much down. So I think really if you talk about this, then definitely you will be able to really tell that these two are still factors that have been able to affect us. Look at climate. Right now people are facing challenges of climate. We did have a long dry spell where people actually got worried if we will be able to see rains. But if we will be able to see the dry season because it rained past the normal period, which we used to have, and definitely that's an impact of climate. And that is why we need to ensure that we protect the climate when it comes to issues of protecting the trees, in terms of reforestation, maybe in terms of planting new trees, then definitely that will also really have an impact on the climate. And if you look at how people are settling on wetlands, that is something also we need to condemn, because the population is increasing, people are looking for land to settle, people are looking for monies. Really, sometimes also it becomes very much difficult. So the G77 plus China summit represents the developing world's collective voice on the global stage. Guterres called for reform echoes a growing frustration among developing countries with the status quo, and that is something really he actually made that call towards, and that is something also really we cannot leave behind, and this is something that definitely will be able to have an impact. And now moving away from that, really, Bobi Wine slams the UN chief over silence on human rights abuses. Really, if you look at this, recently these political leaders, opposition political party leaders, did stage protests here and there, and some of them, their homes were actually surrounded, and Bobi Wine's home was surrounded, but only for people to see him on the street, also planting the bananas, because people did stage protests because of our bad roads. If you really look at how the roads they have been really very much mud with that is potholes. We are seeing them becoming muddy during rain seasons. During rain seasons, they are very dusty, and that is the kind of the roads we are having. So I think these opposition leaders did stage these protests, and in parts of Kampala, where we did see also some of this stretching, that is to the parts of the other country, more so Jinja, where we did see this protest staging too. So I think that is something also really we cannot really talk about. And now Bobi Wine made this slam to the UN chief over his silence on human rights abuses, and the leader of National Unity Platform, that is Robert Kyagulanyi, also known as Bobi Wine, expressed disappointments in United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres. Kyagulanyi criticized Guterres for his failure to address the dire human rights situation in Uganda during the Non-Aligned Movement Conference. So in a statement, Kyagulanyi accused Guterres of remaining silent on the millions of oppressed Ugandans and other Africans under President Museveni's regime, whom he described as brutal. So I think that is something also we really cannot exclude talking about. He highlighted several pressing issues that he believed should have been the focus of the Secretary General's attention. So I think this is where his call comes in, because really the UN General Secretary was recent in the country, and now opposition leaders actually did stage a protest to show their dissatisfaction, and really where we did see some of their homes being surrounded, but we did see also the protests continuing, because we did see photos of people planting banana stems really circulating, which to me came at the wrong time, because we did have guests. We need to paint a good image, really what the people were saying. If really these guests come, we need to smile for them so that they can be able to get the courage of coming back, because once they come back, they bring money for us as a country, they bring development, they come with monies, because the monies that we get in terms of foreign exchange, maybe in terms from the tourism sector, if they come back as tourists, will be the same money that we shall be able to use maybe for developing these roads. So I think that is something also really did happen there, and these people say they cannot smile, because really that is an arrogance. And then we have seen the NAM summit also really coming up with so many disadvantages, more so for the rural poor. So I think that is something also we cannot talk about. If really this show comes your ways and we do not really talk about it, then definitely that is something we are not doing right, and we are letting you down when it comes to the Kokoliriko live show. That is why you must watch it every Mondays from, that is 7 to 9 a.m. And in case you're just joining us right now, this is still the Kokoliriko live show, and we are still continuing with you up the hour of 9 a.m. And remember, after 9 we shall be having the news bulletin, that is in Liberty, with Feta Emmanuel and the rest of the team, because the team is quite determined to let you know of what is happening, and that is why it is very, very much important to always watch. That is the news bulletin in Liberty, and this is for the Lugbara speaking community. It comes in the language that you best understand, and that is why it is very, very much important for you to watch, because really this will also have an impact on you, because if that does not happen, if that's not the case, then definitely that will be able to really also leave you behind. And now we are talking about the roads also, really as we are still talking about the roads, where we did also see an accident of a 26-year-old medical intern who lost his life early hours of Sunday, succumbing to a fatal accident caused by a pothole, that is in Rukunjiri district. Now we are talking about the roads still. Uganda, the victim identified as Austin Abaho, a dedicated intern at Nyachibali Hospital residing in Kesiboni village, met his untimely death due to the perilous state of roads. So I think as per official medical reports, Abaho departed Nyachibali Hospital around 1 p.m., that is 1 p.m., riding his motorcycle back to his place of residence. But tragedy struck him at Katogo, where he collided with a pothole, resulting in the loss of control and subsequent collision with a metallic side road guard. So I think the young medical professional lost his life on the spot, riding alone during the early morning hours. So I think that is something that is very, very much dangerous, and we really condole with the poor of that side, really, for people to lose medical interns. Really, this is somebody who will be able to replace the doctors, and that is where also we did see a doctor, the DH of Masini, losing his life. And then definitely the medical fraternity is losing a lot, because really there are very few, and we are looking at how very few the doctors are, and then people are losing lives. That is something that is very, very dangerous. We need to pray for their souls to rest in eternal peace, and that is also something that we really also need to let you know of. And Eli Mate, the police spokesperson for the Kigezi region, talked about this statement, also made a statement about this. So I think that is something that we really also cannot leave talking about. And body of missing of Kigezi diocese catechist found in River Ruabakazi, and that is something also really is trending on the papers. The body of the 40-year catechist from the Anglican Diocese of Kigezi, who has been missing for 6 days, was on Saturday found floating on River Ruabakazi. What happened to him is something that we do not know. Did he get drowned? Was he pushed into a water body? We do not know, as police is already carrying out investigations. Eli Mate, the Kigezi regional police spokesman, identifies him as Livingstone Aria Twijika, 40 years of age, a catechist of Rubira Church of Uganda, who was reported missing on Monday, January 15th of 2024, after being seen leaving his home on his motorcycle at around 10 a.m. Mate says that after he went missing, the relatives and concerned residents initiated a search on Tuesday and later discovered his abandoned motorcycle, church books, and other church money received along the Kabali Mbarara Road in Rubira village. So that is something that is also very much trending here, and definitely it is something that also really we cannot exclude talking about. So we need to also really pray for his soul to rest in eternal peace, as police is already carrying out investigations to ascertain what really happened to him. Could he be pushed into the waters, because we are seeing, or could he have committed suicide? Because that is something that definitely we do not know, because we have also seen people killing themselves, and that is why it is very, very much important to always find out why these things are happening. And what happened to him is something that we do not know, and as Kokoliriko Live Show, we shall be able to keep you updated according to information that we shall be able to get from, that is police, because police will actually give out information to ascertain what really happened to him after carrying out postmortem in the reports, and maybe also carrying out investigations. And that is something we shall be able to also let you know come tomorrow. And that is why that's why we are stopping with it for now. We are really running for a short commercial break, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversion from there. This is still a Kokoliriko Live Show on West Nile TV with me, Farish Majid. It's a great pleasure having you on board.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Jonna! AFCON! AFCON! Oh! All 52 games live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. This is still the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV with me, Farish Majid, and it's a great pleasure having you on board. In case you're just joining us right now, you are most welcome aboard. This is the Kokoliriko live show every Mondays to Fridays, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. with me, Farish Majid, and this is the show also at times where we bring guests to really interact with here and there. And this week we look forward to really also bring a mental health expert, because we are seeing so many people committing suicide here and there, where we are seeing also cases of mental illness on the rise. And definitely we look forward to bring a mental expert this week to also come and explain to us where the gap is and really what is happening. And that is why we bring the show to you. It is there to inform, it is also there to educate, it is also there to entertain, and that is definitely one show that you should not miss, because it is there to touch all aspects of life. So I think it is very, very much important for you to always be part of the show. And from wherever you are watching us from, for those of you watching us on Zuku channel number 0073, we thank you so much. And for those of you streaming us online on Facebook, YouTube, we also want to thank you so much. We are seeing, that is Merci, a comment that is all the way from that is DRC, and we are seeing Twaha with that beautiful comment there. We thank you so much, Twaha, for always being part of this show and for always being part of West Nile Television, because really you have identified yourself as one of the ardent viewers of the show, and we definitely really thank you so much for being part of that show, because it is there to really also let you know of what is happening. And then we are seeing our sister all the way from Saudi Arabia watching us online also. We definitely also thank you so much for being, that is part of the West Nile Television show, because it is there to also have an impact on you, because it is there to let you know of what is happening way back. And just like these two also, that is where it is also very, very much important for you to be part of the show, because you can watch us from any time. Toha Wachawasemi is watching us from DRC, Ariwara, and we have, that is Zuria Islam, Zuria Shaka, watching us all the way from Saudi Arabia, and Zuria saying we should keep up with the good work. We also thank you so much for watching West Nile Television, and we are also telling all of you to continue watching West Nile Television, because this is the only television that is going to let you know of what is happening in and around the world, because definitely that is why you must watch West Nile Television. Come every Mondays to Fridays. Today is the first edition of the week, and we are returning from the weekend, and I know the weekend must have been very long, and so many things really happened here and there over the weekend, where we did see the climax of NAM, where we did see people being remanded here and there, where we did see officials coming all the way from that is U-Boss, where we also did see installation of chiefs, really the chief really happening here here and there, which also did bring excitement, where we did see also the weekend being one that had excitement and sorrow, because people also lost their lives here and there. And that is one thing I must say we really also need to protect ourselves from, really, because once these things come, definitely they do not leave us very, very well, because once death robs us of our people, then definitely the feeling is usually that bad, because really, if that does not happen, if that's not the case, then definitely it leaves us very, very bad. And now to continue with the discussions on the other updates, the UN Secretary General urges Ethiopia and Somalia to talk, that is to talk so as to resolve the dispute. Remember, these two countries are neighbors, and all of them are found in the Horn of Africa, and they are still not having peace there. They have been having conflicts, and as I told you earlier on, most of the countries we are seeing having conflicts with their neighbors. Even when it comes to East Africa, we are seeing some of the countries closing borders for others, and this is actually sometimes where they do not observe the MOUs that they sign, and this is something also really affects the peace once this affects trade, because trade really brings a lot of money, and once trade is affected, then definitely it slows down development, then definitely it also really puts down the country's efforts, maybe for these countries more so, because these are countries, most of them are still fall under the developing world, then definitely that will also really ensure that this does not happen. So I think United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Sunday urged Addis Ababa and Mogadishu to open dialogue to settle their dispute over Ethiopia's maritime deal with the breakaway region of Somaliland. So I think that is where the conflicts have actually been emerging. Tensions in the Horn of Africa have escalated since landlocked Ethiopia struck a deal with Somaliland on January 1st that gives it much sought after access to the sea, and that is where the conflicts is actually happening, and that is where trade is also going to be affected. And in return, Somaliland, which unilaterally declared independence on 1991, has said Ethiopia would give it formal recognition. Addis Ababa has not confirmed this, and really that's something we are also seeing. Somalia on Thursday ruled out mediation with Ethiopia unless the deal is cancelled and vowed to fight by all legal means, and that is also what we are seeing here. And his comments added to the calls led by United States, China, and European Union, African Union, and Arab League to respect Somali sovereignty. Ethiopia and neighboring Somalia have history of stormy relations and territorial feuds, fighting two wars in the late 20th century. So I think Mogadishu has branded the Maritime Pact an act of aggression by Ethiopia, which has in turn insisted no laws have been transgressed. So under the deal, Somaliland agreed to lease 20 kilometers of its coast for over 50 years to Ethiopia, which wants to set up a naval base and commercial port. So Somalia vehemently opposes the independence claimed by the former British protectorate of 4.5 million people. That is not recognized by international community. Ethiopia, the second most populous country in Africa, was cut off from the coast after Eritrea seceded and declared independence, that is 1993, following a 3-decade war. Addis Ababa had access to the port in Eritrea until the two countries went into war, that is between 1998 to 2000. Since then, Ethiopia has sent most of its seas trade through, that is Djibouti, while Somaliland is largely stable. Somalia has witnessed decades of, that is, civil wars and bloody Islamist insurgencies. So I think these are countries that we are still talking about. Really, we are seeing wars happening between the African states here and there. Some of them are actually due to over borders, some of them are actually due to trade relations, and definitely UN has to come in, because it has to ensure that there's stability, because really UN plays a lot of roles when it comes to ensuring that these countries really ensure that they get the peace that we are talking about, and that is definitely something that we cannot really leave out as we talk about, as we talk on the updates. That is something that is trending on the papers also. And Kampala lawyer shoots guard dead at, that is, Uganda Rugby Cup finals. That is another thing we're seeing here, and it is definitely also one that we cannot leave out. And that is why people really, why must you misuse your guns, the guns that you really get? Because this lawyer actually, somebody whom we presume understands the law definitely, and knows that it is against the laws really to kill somebody. And now we are seeing a lawyer, really it becomes quite ironic there, where we see a lawyer whom we think understands the law, knows the law, and what really happened is something that we do not know, as police is already investigating on the matter to ascertain really what really caused the incident which we are talking about here. Because really, if that is the case, then definitely what happened is something that we do not know. Could it be that something went wrong between the two? Could it be that there was a disagreement among the two? That is really something that we are still following up on. We will let you know of what happens and maybe also what transpires here and there. And that is why it is very, very much important for you to always watch West Nile Television every Mondays from, that is 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And really, what we are seeing here also, moving away from that, Mubaje asked Bunyoro Muslims to ignore Kampala cliques, and really the war that surrounds, that is Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, is not yet done, and that means that it is still continuing. And Sheikh Ramadan Mubaje, the embattled Mufti of Uganda, has called upon the Muslim community in Bunyoro to dismiss the misinformation being circulated by a clique based in Kampala against Uganda Muslim Supreme Council and himself, and really he called upon really this people not to take it. He urged the faithful to remain aware of the blessings bestowed upon them by the Almighty Allah, assuring them that by doing so, they will receive even more of his countless bounties. So these words formed part of the spirituality enriching Muslims he delivered at a attended Thanksgiving ceremony organized by the family of Haji Asman Kitunzi, a prominent elder and member of the Uganda Muslims Majlis Ulama. These are the members, actually the leaders that really form, that is the body there. So I think the event took place in their home, that is in Hoima, located in Bunyoro, Torok Muslim region. So on Saturday, this is something that we did see Mubaje calling upon. And remember, it being a Monday, we give you insights maybe way back to Friday, because really what happens is that we need to give you detailed information of things happening here and there, and that is why we come in place to always let you know of what is happening and maybe what transpires in the due course of the weekend, and what is happening and what is likely to happen also. This is where we also give you some of the things that may be able to come, and that is why you always need to also ensure that you really be part of the show, and that is the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV every Mondays to Fridays with me, Farish Majid, and this is really where also we let you know of what is happening. So I think UN chief denial of statehood for Palestinian is unacceptable, and that is something we also see on the papers here. United Nations General Secretary Antonio Guterres has emphasized the imperative recognition of the Palestinian people's right to establish their own state. So I think this is something also we are seeing here. Speaking at the Non-Aligned Movement Summit in Uganda on Saturday, Guterres condemned the refusal to accept a two-state solution that is for Israelis and Palestinians, as well as the denial of statehood for the Palestinian people, demeaning these actions are unacceptable. So I think during his address, Guterres expressed deep concern over the unprecedented destruction of Gaza and the high number of civilian casualties inflicted by the Israeli army within, that is, a short period of time. And he highlighted also a tragic loss of 152 UN staff members, emphasizing the heartbreak for the organization, their families, and those they were serving in Gaza. So I think he drew attention to the dire situation in Gaza, where people are not only dying for bombings and bullets, that is, but also from the lack of basic necessities such as food, clean water, and access to functioning hospitals. And that is really where war becomes very, very much dangerous. And really, we're also saying really war is something that we need to condemn. War is something that we really need to talk about, because war comes with its devastating impacts. If you really know what war means, then definitely you will be able to resonate with me and really tell of how bad it can be, because sometimes we are not prepared for these things here, because really war is disaster, and the disaster is something that we are never prepared for. And that is why we have the Ministry of Disaster and Preparedness in place to really ensure that once these things happen, we cater and really address them, and really we provide solutions and act where necessary. So I think disaster is something that we really need to condemn, and war falls under this disaster. So I think it is very, very much important to always really trust that peace we have, and really countries also really have to act together and really ensure that they work together, and without really necessarily also going against the MOUs that they sign here and there, because that may also really lead into war. So I think it is very, very much important for people to always also ensure, and also for the leaders to ensure that they do not really go against their laws that they sign in place. So I think it is very, very much important, definitely, for people to really maintain the MOU. And another story we are seeing here, Museveni, Ruto leave investors mulling about oil spat. That is something that we are also seeing here on the papers. Uganda wants UNOC licensed unconditionally, while Nairobi wants it to compete against Kenyan farms. And that is something we are also seeing on the papers here, and we shall be able to also let you know of what transpires, and that definitely, and that you will be able to also know what really happens there. And I did talk to you about a story of a Kampala lawyer shooting guard dead at Uganda Cup rugby finals, and authorities on Sunday say they had arrested one suspect after a security guard was on Saturday night shot dead by an armed lawyer following finals, that is of the 2023/2024 Rugby Nile Special Uganda Cup at Kings Park Arena. The 37-year-old Nekion Buruga died from injuries after he was allegedly shot dead by a lawyer, Ahamia Sam, at around 10 p.m. following a final in which Heathens thrust, that is Rams 57-22 to win the men's category. And this is something we are talking about. Really, you have gone to really enjoy, you have gone to celebrate. Even if you have lost, does it mean that you have to lose your arrogance and really you tempers and shoot somebody? Definitely it is no. Sources at Kira Police Division said the 47-year-old murder suspect, Ahamia, went to Kings Park Rugby Club at around midday on Saturday together with his two children for leisure, and upon retrieval he attempted to perform a normal safety precautions with the magazine still in the pistol. In the process, he shot and injured Buruga. That is what we really also did see, according to what police said. Police particulars seen by Monitor indicate that the suspect is a resident of Buziga Machini Division, that is in Kampala district, while the deceased was a watchman in the arena and the dweller in the Chireka Buyogoro Division. That is something also we really are seeing on the papers here and there, and that is one thing also we need to let you know about. Really, sometimes also people taking the laws into their hands, because really you are a lawyer and we believe that you understand the law best. How do you act? Sometimes this goes back to the ethics this people really receive, because really sometimes also we leave the law aside, but what about ethically? What are you supposed to do as a lawyer, as that profession? So I think as that profession, I mean, what are you really to do? That is something also really we need to ensure that we talk about. Once we do not really also talk about it, definitely then it becomes very, very much difficult for people to continue with the bad habits, and that is why we're also seeing people continuing with these issues, and that is definitely very, very bad. So I think we need to really ensure that these issues of people taking the laws into their hands does not continue. It stops. Then definitely it will be able to also really resonate with what we want, because definitely if we do not really talk about what we want, then definitely we are going to be able to suffer from those repercussions, which may also have devastating impacts on us. So we are talking about all these, and all this is happening. So I think definitely it will be able to also affect the service or delivery. So I'm looking into some of the stories also happening on the papers. Kony facing 36 charges at ICC for LRA war victims. And remember, the northern part of Uganda did have that war for about 20 years. So in the International Criminal Court has really preferred to bring 36 charges against Joseph Kony, the elusive leader of the Lord Resistance Army rebel group. The charges were issued by the Office of the Prosecutor headed by Karim Khan, a British Pakistan who was appointed in 2021. The charges include international directing attacks against the civilian population, murder, attempted murder, torture, severe abuse and mistreatment, enslavement, pillaging and destruction of property, prosecution, forced marriage, rape, cruel treatment, conscripting children, sexual slavery, forced pregnancy, among others. These are charges that have actually been levied against, that is the LRI leader there, and now the charges have been really put against him. So according to a statement issue released on, that is January 19, 2024, announced the charges can describe the agenda of Kony and armed group which developed into protracted conflict, as one of whose objective was to destabilize and untimely overthrow the Ugandan government through armed rebellion. So I think that is something also really we are seeing here. According to Khan, LRA commanders and fighters complied with Kony's instructions to carry out the charges. Really, that is something also really we are talking about. Kony's structure of power was described as one that was organized and had hierarchical apparatus of power. The 36 charges will be brought before the presiding judge, that is Rosario Salvatore Aitala, the judge Tamoko Akene, and Judge Sergio Gerardo Gotines for confirmation. The government of Uganda has been hunting for Kony, who has been at large but is said to be roaming, that is the Central African Republic jungles. In 2021, the United States of America placed a bounty of about $5 million for anyone who could capture Connie, and they will be rewarded with the money if they found him alive. So I think if they found, they would the money if he's found alive. So I think that is something also we are talking about, and because really atrocities that the LRA leader did commit in this region were quite huge, because we did lose people's lives here and there. People did lose their property, and up to now some of these people are still demanding for their monies. They are actually still seeking for compensation from government, and they have never actually received the money, though paperwork is done. And the president actually did assent to the payment of these people, but really the process is not there, and we are still waiting to see if these people will be able to also receive their monies, because they have every time. Recently, last year, we did see them staging protests here and there demanding for their monies, but still we are still following up. We do not know when they will be able to get their monies back, and that is something also that is trending on the papers here. So I think that is something we cannot leave out, and these charges are going to be brought against him. We expect justice, really, where we did see so many of these young people's mouths being cut. If you really know what really happened in northern Uganda, Mwaso, West Nile, Acholi and Lango, you will be able to tell. For the traders who are moving, they lost their properties, people lost their lives, buses were burnt down, goods were really looted, and which was really quite sad there, and which have really actually left some of the people grappling in poverty up to now, and some of these people have actually been rendered orphans, most of the children up to now, because of the atrocities that we are committed by. That is by the Lord Resistance Army leader, Joseph Kony. So I think we are talking about all these things here and there, which have really been affecting, that is development, which has really affected and left the region behind, and definitely that is something also we need to talk about. And still in relation to security, ADF terrorists killed in DRC, as 8 civilians rescued. So I think this is something we are talking about. The joint forces of the Uganda People's Defense Forces and armed forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo on Saturday, January 20th, 2024, killed 3 allied Democratic Forces terrorists and rescued 5 children and 3 women, because really the president actually earlier this year talked about how the rebels have been affecting, that is the peace of these countries, and some of these countries actually said some of these rebels are based in DRC. If you look at the ADF, they are really based that side, and actually said when the current president gave them authority to actually really ensure that they enter and really destroy these armies, these rebel groups that we are seeing. That is definitely what is happening today, and that's what we are reporting here, and that is what is happening, and we soon expect peace maybe to reign, that is in these parts of the region. And Major Bilal Katamba, the Public Information Officer, that's for UPDF Mountain Division Operation Suja, said the terrorists were killed during the ongoing joint operation against the ADF terrorists in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Saturday. And Major Katamba said the rescued women told the soldiers that they were abducted by the ADF when they were ambushed and hit in a bus that was traveling from Kamanda to Beni. And remember this year also when the president was addressing on the ADF, we did see actually victims coming out to tell their experiences with the ADF and how they got abducted and how they entered into the bush, how they found themselves actually becoming, that is part of the ADF group, and really where they actually laid a lot of fears, where they talked about painful stories here and there, and which was really quite sad. So I think we expect justice, we expect these things to be eliminated one time. We also want to see peace, because really with these issues of insurgencies, definitely this will also really have an impact on development. And this is where we are seeing buses, really sometimes when you're traveling, these people can lay ambushes, and it's very much risky really to also capture this or to move with them, because they take you from where you are, where you lose everything, and you become really very much vulnerable there. So I think the joint forces also recovered an RPG bomb and medicines that were being used by the rebels. The joint forces continue to pursue the rebels who are still on the run, having been rooted out of Mwalika Valley last year by Joint Forces Major General Katamba. So that's what Major General Katamba said, and that is definitely something also really we feel we need to talk about, because once we do not talk about it, then definitely it will be able to also really affect the peace. And we are still talking about peace. Peace is something that we really need to ensure that we treasure, because without peace, then there's no development. It will really becomes very much difficult for people to actually come and invest in a country that's not stable. Investors may not be able to want to come into these countries really just to also come and ensure that they actually develop the country, and that is something that we are not really also not going to leave out. And another story here, we are seeing Japanese are not wise traders. says Museveni, and that is what something also we cannot leave about President Museveni. On Saturday said Japanese are not wise traders, as he issued a stark warning that he would not tolerate intent by foreign industrial companies to merely assemble instead of manufacturing in Uganda. This is something we have over time talked about. Sometimes people come in these countries as investors, but then some of the businesses that they come and invest in really becomes alarming. You see an investor really running a shop instead of a supermarket, then you ask yourself, what is investing in? And this is something that the local person could actually invest in, and that is really, it becomes very, very much difficult. And the president made these remarks during the closure of the week-long non-aligned movement summit in Kampala. This was on Saturday, as he accused the Japanese investors and the West of failing to appropriately deploy the principle of aggregate demand at the expense of African and global South countries. He actually made us and told these people that he's not going to tolerate that while there are just under 3 million vehicles in Uganda, majority cars driven in the country are foreign manufactured, but there have been recent gains with the nation producing some fully electric automatic cars. So I think that is something he actually made a call on, and this call actually comes when it heads to actually the manufacturing sector, which is really very much hit, because this actually needs the rightful personnel, and sometimes these are personnel that we seek and we really need to bring from outside, because they have the skills. And if you look at the Japanese, they are the ones that really have manufactured. If you look at people who have driven cars, sometimes they can tell you cars that come from Japan are the biggest and the strongest, sometimes the best. But really where we see these people coming in and really where we expect them to deliver and they're not delivering, and then we should not be able to welcome them, because once they come here, they come and get our monies, and sometimes which they repatriate back, so which really also becomes very difficult. So I think it is very, very much important for countries. This is not only Uganda, maybe it should be for all the countries that is in the developing world. For instance, East Africa, they need to ensure that these people who are coming, these experts that we are bringing, do not actually really come just to assemble, because they need to also come and manufacture. We need to see new cars. We need to identify Uganda with some product which may be able to really also paint our image, and that may also be able to raise our flag very high. So I think that is something also where I feel we need to talk about. We cannot leave out, because if that is not the case, then definitely that is something that is also going to really affect the development, because industrialization is something that could actually generate in a lot of money for this country, and that terms of also, that is in terms of foreign exchange, and it also helps to raise the country's flag high, because somebody will want to know where this project comes in from. And if we are saying this vehicle so and so is manufactured by Uganda and we are exporting it, we start exporting it to other countries, then definitely we shall be able to also maybe identify ourselves as one of the countries through a branding, maybe of that vehicle, or maybe in terms of that motorcycle, maybe in terms of another machine. Then definitely that will also really have an impact on the country's economy. So I think that is something we are seeing on the papers here. And still in relation to that, the Trade Ministry budget hanging in balance, that is something that we are still seeing. The fate of the Ministry of Trade's budget for the financial year 2024 and 2025 is uncertain due to a deadlock between parliamentary committees, primarily resolving around refusal to allocate funds amidst concerns over financial mismanagement. So I think that is also something that we are seeing here, because if you look at the Trade Ministry, this is one of the entities actually that brings a lot of money for the country, and it is actually one that is really critical. So I think issues of corruption here and there are now limiting Parliament, because after drawing your budget, you have to really present it before Parliament. It is Parliament to approve the budget, and if Parliament really does not approve this budget, and then definitely that ministry or that entity will find it very difficult to run the operations, because trade is actually one of the activities that is bringing a lot of money for this country. And then definitely, if that is not the case, we shall be able to also really see trade being brought down, and once trade is dragged down, obviously it is going to limit money that could be generated in terms of foreign exchange, maybe in terms of other means. So I think that is also going to limit the country's efforts. So I think that is something also we need to talk about, and that is why we should actually also let you know of what is happening, and it's very, very much important to always be in the know. So I think it is very, very much important for you to always watch West Nile TV, Kokoliriko live show from mornings every Mondays to Fridays from 7 to 9 a.m. and after 9 a.m. we do present to you the news bulletin in Lubarati, and the team led by Fete Manuel is actually set and is ready to give you what is happening in the world of Eolaza. And that is why it is very, very much important for the Lubara speaking community also to be part of that is the news bulletin, because it really comes in the language which really has an impact on you, which you really understand best, I believe, because for it to be described as a Lugbar and then it is very, very much great, because that is your identity. You never change it. So that goes to these people who are from here, who know the language, and from the other parts of the world also. And if you're from all the other parts of the world, maybe you feel that you need to also listen to your language. And then you need to watch West Nile television every hour, every day. That's from 9, that is to 9, from 9 to 10. This is where they bring for you the news bulletin, so that you can also get to know of what is happening. This is the people who are watching us from overseas, in the Middle East, in Europe, in Asia, in the other parts of the world also, not only Asia also, even those who are watching us outside the region. Maybe you are watching us from Tanzania, you're watching us from Kenya, you're watching us from DRC, you're watching us from South Sudan. Definitely, this is where you will be able to also get to know of what is happening back home. So I think it is very, very much important for you to really be in the know of what is happening. So I think it is where and it is why we must come and tell you of what is happening, because an informed person makes an informed decision. Because if you're not informed, then definitely your decision may be questionable, and that is where you may be able to mess. So I think it is very, very much good for you to ensure that this does not really happen with you, because the decision you make may definitely also happen and affect you. So with that, really, we are going to be running for a short commercial break, and this is still a Kokoliriko live show with me, Farish Majid, and today is the first edition of the week. It's a Monday, the 22nd day of, that is January, and that means that we are just remaining with about 8 days to wind up with the month, and then we enter into another month. And this comes with a lot of pressure, by the way, for the parents, maybe for the learners also, because very soon they will be able to go back, but we have seen some of the schools already opening, which really is against the laws of, that is the Ministry of Education and Sports, the body that is supposed to ensure that the education is going on smoothly in this country, because some of the schools have really opened up, which is really against its laws, because this also has negative impacts on the learners, really, I must tell you, because they will be able to get tired. And really, dear viewer, in case you're just joining us right now, this is the Kokoliriko live show, and it's a great pleasure having you on board. But for now, we are running for a short commercial break, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversation from there. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda. and the commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us right now, it's a great pleasure having you back on the Kokoliriko live show. In case you started that with us right from the time we began, that is from 7 a.m. to this hour of the morning. We are still heading to the hour of 9 a.m. and this is still a Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV with me, Farish Majid, and we are still giving you updates and to some of the issues that are trending here on the various media outlets. So I think it is very, very much important for you to always be with us, and this is definitely where you will be able to get information and detailed analysis on some of the issues that may be able to also transpire and maybe what happened in your absence or in your know. So I think it is very, very much important for you to always be watching West Nile Television Kokoliriko live show every mornings from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. In case you're just joining us on board right now, as I said earlier on, we really welcome you on board and we thank you so much for watching West Nile Television. And this is for those people who are really pertinent about issues happening in the country here and there, because what we discuss here, issues that happen at the region, at the national scene, and internationally. So I think it is very, very much good for you to always be watching West Nile Television. And definitely, this is where we shall let you know of what is happening in and around your world. So I think it is a great pleasure as we continue with the show. We started this show from 7 a.m. where we did discuss a lot of issues here and there, ranging from that is UBOS, that is already carrying out sensitization towards the mapping exercise, which is the pre-exercise towards the national census, where they are going to ensure that people's population is counted. And this is where I also need to ensure that you are part of this exercise. And this goes to the people who are actually living in this country, because you must ensure that yourself is counted. Other than that, then the resources that you'll be able to use in the next 10 years may be actually an infringement on other people's rights, because it is what was allocated for them. And then that is why we need to ensure that we really actually get ourselves counted. And this is for everybody who has actually lived for more than 2 days. And for the newborns, that very day, that is something we are actually getting to know. You will be able to be counted from the hospital and from homes. From these people who will be able to move in your homes, the enumerators will be able to come with their phones. And this year, the exercise, according to information we got, is going to be online. So meaning that these people will be able to come with their phones, come to your homes, ask you few questions here and there in what language that does not matter. And this is where also it is going to help for people's population to be established. And once the population is established, then the government goes back to actually start planning, and that is for the people's in the next 10 years, because this exercise is just carried out once in every 10 years, and that is why we need to ensure that we be part of this activity that is actually carried out once in a while. So for those who are trying to sabotage the project, and you remember, so many people have actually been saying so many ill things about certain government projects, and that is why most of them have actually been failing, and that is a warning. The city leadership of Arua through RCC Charles Ichogor has actually issued a stern warning to those religious leaders, maybe to the shrine leaders. They have actually issued a warning to these witch doctors that their shrines will be banned if they actually get to hear of cases of these people trying to sabotage this government project. So this warning is not actually onto them, but it is to everybody, and it is also everybody's right to ensure that they get counted. So I think that is something also we did talk about in the first hour. We also did talk about the arrest of the Arua District Environment Officer, who we are on Saturday, that is on Saturday last week, sent to remand till Wednesday this week, and we are still following up on that case over cases of allegations on corruption, and the court is yet to establish whether these people are guilty of stealing that 20 million Ugandan shillings they are accused for. And remember, they were picked on Monday last week, and they were actually, after spending days, and they were remanded, that is again to Arua government prison while appearing before court. So I think the state attorney had actually asked for an adjournment of this case because this people did not plead guilty. They said for them they did not steal the money. They do not know what else, this did not happen to them. So I think they were sent on remand so that court can ascertain where exactly to handle this matter, whether under the judicial magistrate court or anti-corruption court, and that is where they will be able to really actually keep on following. And we are also here to let you know of what is happening, and maybe when it comes to that time, we shall let you know of what really transpires, if they will be able to be given bail, or if they are sentenced to prison. And that is something we are going to be letting you know against, because really Dr. D projects have been very much marked by corruption, where we did see also similar incidences, similar routes happening over because in Terego, because these people's monies have never come in time. They were actually complaining about the delayments, and these people do not know whether their monies have been eaten, or the money is there, or some people just sleeping with the money. They do not want to pay their monies because the information we got, the money had arrived, but they had never received the money. So I think these people actually, after somebody mobilizing them, they were able to actually stage protests, that is at the district headquarters, and that is something also really I feel we cannot leave out, because if we leave this out, then we are seeing cases of corruption really continuing, and which is really quite bad. And now moving on, we did also talk about Cecilia Ogwal's body returning to Uganda, and this is something also really we did talk about, where we did say relatives and friends on Sunday turned up at the Entebbe airport to receive the body of former Dokola member of parliament, that is woman member of parliament, that is Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, who died at the age of 77 of cancer. That is on January 18th of 2024 in an Indian hospital, and will be buried on Saturday, the January 27th, at her home in Gudusel, that is in Alito Town Council, that is in Kole District. So her body was received by the Speaker of Parliament, that is Honorable Anita Mong, where we did see so many of the leaders, and now the burial plan is actually out, and where we are going to be following up on that, because really government of Uganda has actually taken up the mantle of ensuring the burial expenses are catered for, and the roadmap, actually the plans of how the funeral will continue is actually out, where she will be buried, that is on Saturday, and we are still following up on this issue, and we shall be able to let you know of maybe what surrounds death. So I think that is why you need to really watch Western television, of what maybe the leaders will be able to say, of maybe, because so many people have actually eulogized her as a good person, and that definitely tells us about doing good things. And that should be a reminder to everybody, once you're in these offices, once you're holding responsibility, once you're holding these positions, how do you relate with the people around you? Because your relationship does not only stop really into that people, that constituents that you lead. It really stretches to everybody. It really stretches the whole country, because once you become a servant, maybe of a constituent, you are serving the whole country, you are serving the whole nation. So I think it is very much good, because if you do good things, you are going to inspire the next generation. Because one thing that actually the Speaker of Parliament did say is that she got the courage and the motivation to join politics from the likes of that Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, who was once actually runners-up, that is in the Miss Uganda beauty pageant, and that is something that you could not actually live about when you're talking about her biography. So she has actually laid a stone, she has done her part, she has motivated a lot of people, the likes of the Speaker of Parliament, and that is where we need to also ensure that we always do good things, because once we do not do good things, then definitely we shall be able to be those bad people. And once you die, if you have been doing bad things, people will say bad things about you. People will be able to make joke and make fun of your death. So I think this is something also really where we need to ensure that once you're in these offices, we must reason with the local people. We must reason with everybody, because you serve everybody. You are a leader of everybody. You're not only a leader of a particular group. So I think this is where also really I must call upon everybody to ensure that they actually do good things. They actually serve diligently. They serve transparently. They must desist from corruption. They must desist from allegations of so many issues here and there. And that is where also really I must tell you about this. So I think that is what we discussed in the first hour. Now we are really into the second hour, towards the last minutes of the show. And in case you are just joining us right now, this is the Kokoliriko live show. In case you are watching us for the very first time, this is West Nile Television channel 0073 on that is Zuku, and also and the other platforms of social media. For those of you who are streaming us online, for instance on Facebook, and also not forgetting YouTube, we thank you so much. And this is West Nile Television, which you must always watch, so that you be able to be that one that person who is updated with what is happening in and around the world. So I think the call was also made over NAM, because NAM and the G77 as the talk of the week. So I think they have been a talk of the nation for some time now, and they will be able to actually climax tomorrow, that is 23rd, with the G77 plus China summit, which is set to actually close, that is tomorrow. And that is where we shall be able to also let you know of what is happening. Adopt Uganda's refugee policy, UN tells EU countries. And remember, we have so many refugees in Uganda. Uganda is actually one of the countries that is hosting a number of refugees, both from South Sudan and DRC, who are living with us here. And we also do understand that we have some refugees coming in from Somalia, but they are living here and we are living harmoniously with them. We have never had conflicts with them, I think. So the UN nations has hailed Uganda's open door policy to refugees fleeing insecurity from their home countries and urged the European Union member states to adopt it. So I think this was shortly before the closing ceremony of the 19th summit of the Non-Aligned Movement, which did close a few days. So I think we are still talking about this. The Non-Aligned Movement closed, but the G77 plus China summit is still continuing. These are all international conferences where if we dialogue, if our leaders really talk here and there, and then they go back and start implementing what they have discussed from this summit, then definitely that will have an impact on the service delivery. Maybe also it will be able to have an impact on the nation, and we shall be able to also see development when it comes to these countries here. The Secretary General, the UN Secretary General also lauded Uganda for providing a remarkable example of refugee protection to more than 1 million refugees from several neighboring countries. So that is something that we also really have pride in as people of this country, that we get recognized actually that we are hosting refugees. But sometimes where we start getting issues here and there, and then it becomes very difficult, and with the meager resources, it really becomes difficult, because the refugees are coming in place, and really we have to share the resources with them, because being a refugee is out of will, I believe, because nobody wants to be a refugee, and all these people really want to go back. And recently when we did have the Junubin festival, and the young people actually who were there actually made this call of really wanting to go back, and they called for peace in their country. And you could, if you are to be able to really see the performances, and maybe in through the songs that these young people sang, then definitely you will be able to feel their pain of really wanting to go back to their country. So I think it really becomes very, very difficult, and that is why Uganda also is commended and for that good job of hosting these refugees and keeping them safely in these countries. And remember, we share the resources with them, and in the upcoming next census that is supposed to be taking place from May, we also expect the government of Uganda to ensure that these people are catered for when it comes to the counting, because in the last previous census they were not actually catered in the exercise, and this upcoming census now the numbers of refugees are already known, and the budgeting also needs to ensure that it catches them. So I think it is something that we really need to also talk about here and there, and it is a call to the government to ensure that these refugees are catered for, such that they do not actually consume the resources that they have not been budgeted for, because if that is not the case, then definitely it becomes very, very difficult. And that is what we really had for you on today's Kokoliriko live show with me, Farish Majid. We want to thank you so much for your comments. For those of you who commented, we want to really thank you so much for those beautiful comments there, and that shows us that we are really having an impact, and we need to have an impact on society, and that is why West Nile Television is always here to actually let you know of what is happening. And definitely we must thank Adrama Ashraf, and he said good morning Kokoliriko, that is on YouTube. We also want to thank everybody who watched us right from the time we began. We thank everybody. We will not exclude you. We are really there not to we are really there to actually share our voices, and one way you could actually share your voice is through the comment section. And with that, really want to thank Twaha Wachawaseme watching us from Kiokio, that is said live Kiokio Merced watching us from DRC, that is Nariwara. We thank you so much, and not forgetting Zuria Islam, Zuria Shaka watching us live from Saudi Arabia. We also thank you so much for those comments there. And just like these two, you can actually also, you can also drop your comments from wherever you are watching us from, no matter the platform. We shall be able to also share with the rest of the viewers, and maybe what you think of the government, also the people that we talk about need to do, because these are issues that we must discuss and must have an impact on society, because as West Nile Television, our #1 mandate is to enlighten the region, and one way we are going to enlighten the region is actually informing you, and the Kokoliriko live show is actually there to keep you updated. And once you're updated, that means that you are informed, and that is where you must not miss the show each and every Mondays, from Mondays to Fridays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And today has been the first edition for this week, and I must say it was a great pleasure having you on board. And now it's time for me to stop here and also pave way for the Eolaza News team to actually prepare and also really give you what is happening in the world of Eolaza. And I must say, I thank you so much for all those comments, and for everybody who watched us. I did not really leave you out, and I must say it's a great pleasure having you always on board, because this is surely the show that is going to really have an impact on you. It is one that is going to keep you updated. And with that, I come to the closer of today's discussion. I thank my producer, that is Boniface, and my camera person, Senior Dizon, for making me look that awesome on the screens that you are watching us from right now. And that definitely tells you of how committed the team is. And with that, really allow me to stop here and say goodbye.